जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तविंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, welcome back. So we are continuing our discussion on the introduction of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and currently we are discussing the 5 subject matters or the 5 essential truths of Bhagavad Gita. And we just recently completed the understanding the difference between the Ishvara and Jivas, between us and the Lord. The difference which is there is given in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So continuing further, the next topic which is discussed is consciousness. So because we heard that we are conscious of our own body and the Lord is conscious of each and every body. He is there in each and every living being. So what is that consciousness? So Prabhupada further discusses that matter. So the supreme conscious Ishvara is similar to the living entity in this way. Both the consciousness of the Lord and that of the living entity are transcendental. So they are the original consciousness of the living beings and the Lord. Both are transcendental. So what is the meaning of the word transcendental? Transcending something. So we understood earlier the 3 modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So everything in this world is controlled by these 3 modes. Everything we take, a person in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, food in the mode of in 3 different modes, dresses in 3 different modes, animals in 3 different modes, trees in 3 different modes, we talk in 3 different modes. So this is a unique contribution, as I discussed earlier, of the Vedas. This is not available in any scriptures. Three modes is discussed only in the Vedas, and in particularly in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spends a lot of time discussing these 3 modes. Even charities are in 3 modes. So these 3 modes is nothing but it tells how a person will act based on the different mode that person is situated in. So we acquire these modes as we interact with this material world, in this material nature. As we do actions, we acquire these modes. And we cannot strictly say that, a person is completely in this mode. A person can, or not can, a person will show different modes at different times of the day. Like for example, in the morning, which is in the mode of goodness. So afternoon is a mode of passion, and evening is in the mode of ignorance. So at different times of the day, the same person will act differently. In the morning, the person will have some spiritual tendencies. Afternoon, they want to work. So passion is related to work. And in the evening, the person wants to go to bed or sleep or take rest. So that is actually mode of ignorance. And but the living entity and the Lord, the soul proper, the Jiva and the Lord, they both are actually transcendental to these 3 modes. It is not that the consciousness is generated by the association of matter. So sometimes we'll hear that when we take birth, then we get the consciousness. No, this is not Bhagavad Gita's theory. Bhagavad Gita's theory is the soul originally is conscious and eternally is conscious. That is a mistaken idea that Prabhupada is saying. The theory that consciousness develops under certain circumstances of material combination is not accepted in Bhagavad Gita. So by combination of matters, the consciousness is not generated. It is eternally existing. It is coexisting with the soul. In fact, the symptom of the soul is consciousness. Wherever there is consciousness, indicates there is a presence of soul. So consciousness may be pervertedly reflected by the covering of the material circumstances. And this is a very important point to understand, that originally the consciousness of the soul is pure. And a nice example is given by Prabhupada here, is Now the pure consciousness can be compared to like a pure white light. So if you take a white light and then you cover the white light with a film, maybe red color, so now the light will be reflecting actually red. So now you'll see everything red. So similarly, originally the consciousness of the soul is pure, but then it is reflected through something. So what is it? Is it reflecting through? That is going to be explained here. Consciousness may be pervertly reflected by the covering of material circumstances, just as the light reflected through a colored glass may appear to be certain color. But the consciousness of the Lord is not materially affected. So even when the Lord comes in this material world, like 5,000 years back, Krishna was here, he doesn't get that covering. He is pure consciousness. But when we come to this world, in the material world, we are given a covering. And the covering is given for a purpose. And that purpose is, unless this covering is there, unless the covering layer is given to the soul cannot enjoy, because originally the soul comes in this material world to enjoy. But if the covering is not given, then the soul will have that pure consciousness, and in pure consciousness the soul will not be able to enjoy in this material world. Right? We'll go into more of this as we proceed further in the study of Bhagavad Gita, but this is just a general idea. The Lord says, Krishna says, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti, which I said earlier, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyatesha Characharam. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 10. So you can actually access online all these verses, all the scriptures, and the website is Vedabase. So if you do a Google and search for Vedabase, and then for Bhagavad Gita it is BG 9.10. So this is a way you can find those verses online, and when you click on it, you will see this verse. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam Hetu Nanena Kaunteya Jagadbhi Parivartate. So Krishna says over here, this material nature, which is one of my energy, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving being. Under its rules, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So this is Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter. And you will find all the chapter, all the verses in this library, Bhaktivedanta Vedabase. Vedabase, and then these are the different books. Now, some of you who are new to ISKCON and Krishna consciousness, so this is the Bhagavad Gita book which is available here in Vedabase, and if you click here, it will give you all the chapters and all the details of all the verses and purports. Everything is given. So let's say I click on one of the chapter, and this is the first chapter, first verse. This is just an example. So the verse is there in Sanskrit, its English translation is there, and then transliteration is there, word by word is also there, and then the translation is given, and then the purport, which is the commentary given by Srila Prabhupada. So this is about Bhagavad Gita, and similarly there are other books. So Bhagavad Gita was spoken directly by Krishna, whereas Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by it's actually a discussion between Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. So this book is about Krishna, about the pastimes of Krishna. This is not spoken by Krishna. So this is spoken directly by Krishna, 700 verses. These are like 12 cantos. Each canto has many chapters. So here in the Bhagavatam there are 18,000 verses. So that is why it is called as Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Purana. This is also available online, free for somebody to access. Then this is another book, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is about the lifetime or the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and this is a Krishna book. The Krishna book is nothing but it's a 10th canto. So So Bhagavatam has 12 cantos. Each canto has many chapters. So as for example, if I open the first canto, so this first canto has 19 chapters. So the 10th canto of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam is the Krishna's pastime. And this is, if you open 10th canto, there are about 90 chapters. There are 90 chapters, and those 90 chapters are in a condensed form in this Krishna book. Right? And then this book is about Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, means this is the pastimes of Prabhupada in this world. So there are so many books, you can go and read as you get time. So I wanted to show here, for somebody who is new and they want to access the verses like mentioned over here. BG means Bhagavad Gita. Right? So BG 9.10 means Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 10th verse. Similarly, SB means Srimad Bhagavatam. So we saw here Srimad Bhagavatam, this is Srimad Bhagavatam. So here, if it is written SB 1.5.10, so which means Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 5th chapter, 10th verse. So this is how, in short, this nomenclature will be. Okay. So here, Lord Krishna says, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti, in 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 10th verse. So this material world is going on under Krishna's direction. When he descends into the material universe, his consciousness is not materially affected. If he were so affected, then he would be unfit to speak on transcendental matter as he does in Bhagavad Gita. So if Krishna is same as us, he is also contaminated, his consciousness is also contaminated, then there is no meaning of studying this book. That's what Prabhupada is saying. One cannot say anything about the transcendental world without being free from materially contaminated consciousness. This is an important point to understand, that we are covered with this material layer and we think we are our body. We don't identify ourselves as soul. So this is our contamination. And this layer is given to us so that we can enjoy in this material world. And when we are in that consciousness of enjoying, having tendencies to enjoy in this world, we cannot understand about the transcendence or Krishna's world. So the Lord is not materially contaminated. Our consciousness at the present moment, however, is materially contaminated. And then there will be details of what those contaminations are. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that we have to purify this material contaminated consciousness. So the basic answer to this, the understanding of what material contamination means, we have tendencies to enjoy separate from Krishna. So that is the contamination. We want to enjoy independent of Krishna. And we want to be the controller, proprietor and enjoyer. This is actually originally Krishna's position. So this is the reason we actually come from the spiritual world to the material world. And Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita, that the soul originally is in the spiritual world and it's enjoying with Krishna in the spiritual world, in the Vaikuntha planets. And the soul desires to enjoy separate from Krishna. So then the soul cannot do that in the spiritual world. So then it is given a position in the material world. Along with a layer, a covering is given. And that covering actually is making us forget about Krishna. So if we only forget Krishna, then we can enjoy on our own in this world. So this is what is going on, If you see around us, you'll see all kind of creatures. What are they trying to do? They are actually trying to enjoy. Nobody is trying to become unhappy. Everybody is striving to become happy. This is what our goal is in anything we do. So if you look around, That's what everybody is doing, and they want to become happy in different ways, like having a very good car, or having a very good job, or having a very good dress, good food, you know travel to various places. So do all those kind of things, different activities. But what is the reason behind doing those activities? The reason behind doing this activity is to become happy or to enjoy in this world. So if we want to become an enjoyer, then we have to have at least some control. So we want to be the controller, and in order to control, we have to own the things. So we want to be proprietor. So these are the three things which you do. We want to be the owner or proprietor of things, so that we can control things, so that we can enjoy. So ownership will give us control, and controllership will give us the chance to enjoy. So this is what all of us are doing in this world, including the animals, including the trees. They are doing in their own ways, but the ultimate purpose is we want to enjoy in this world, separate from Krishna. And in order to facilitate that, to enjoy separate from Krishna, Krishna gives a layer of covering, and that is called as material contamination. So the process of bhakti, which is explained next, actually helps us to remove that covering. So this is what is the next topic in discussion. In pure consciousness, our actions will be dovetailed to the will of Ishvara, and that will make us happy. So when we want to, so originally we are with Krishna, we are enjoying with Krishna, being his part and parcel. We are with him and we are enjoying with him. But then we want to enjoy separate from him. So if we are enjoying with him in the spiritual world, that is the pure state of mind or the pure consciousness. And when we come to this world, now we are covered with the material consciousness. So that material consciousness needs to be removed, or at least practiced to be dovetailed to the will of the Lord. So that's what Prabhupada is saying here. In the pure consciousness, our action will be dovetailed to the will of the Ishvara, and that will make us happy. So it's like, we feed the examples are given later, that, when we feed our stomach, then the entire body will be happy. But if the finger wants to eat on its own, the finger cannot be happy. So we will not remain happy unless we make Krishna happy. This is how the things actually are designed, or it's eternally there like that. Our happiness is in happiness of Krishna, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, and we are meant to serve Krishna in love. So we serve. The understanding of the word service is very different in the terms of spirituality compared to the way we understand how a servant serves us. So in case of Krishna, if you open the Bhagavad Gita, if you don't have to open the Bhagavad Gita, in the cover of Bhagavad Gita, you see that Krishna is actually a chariot driver of Arjuna. So he is the Lord, but the Lord is trying to serve Arjuna as a chariot driver. So it's a very lower position, right? And so Lord is trying to serve, and Arjuna is also trying to serve the purpose of the Lord. So both are sort of trying to serve each other actually. So that is actually how the service in the spiritual world is. Love is, God is trying to serve, and the devotee is also trying to serve. There is a competition of the devotees and the Lord, and in that way they derive happiness. So it is not to so here then continue, Prabhupada will say, it is not that we have to cease all activities. So service means action, means you have to do something. So for example, if the mother tells the child that I love you, I love you, I love you, and expresses her love through words, but the mother doesn't do anything for the child. So then Prabhupada gives this example and says that what kind of love it is. Or if we tell some friends that I love you, I like you, I do, we express our feelings for the person. But it is only at the feeling level and we don't do anything, do any action. Then that kind of just word has no meaning. So this is why the love is actually expressed as service, doing something for somebody. So in this case, we do service for the Lord. It is not that we have to cease all our activities. Rather, our activities are to be purified, and purified activities are called as bhakti. So, bhakti, as we discussed earlier, bhakti or devotional service. So, the word bhakti is translated in English as devotional service. It's not devotion. There are two words, devotional service. So, service with devotion, with having the feeling to satisfy the Lord or to please the Lord. So that is actually bhakti. So activities in bhakti appears to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. Because, the consciousness of the person who is doing the activity is pure. With the consciousness is like to please the Lord. And that consciousness thing is internal, but it externally expressed in some work. Okay, so externally the person may be looking same, working as the other person, but internally that person's consciousness is not to please himself or herself, but to please the Lord. That activity that person is performing. Okay, so when other person sees, then they may see, oh, he's doing the same thing as me. So example can be given that Arjuna, when the war began, he was also killing, and Duryodhana and the other party, the Kauravas, were also killing. But Arjuna on this side was killing only because Krishna wanted him to do that. Or basically Krishna wanted to re-establish dharma. And in order to re-establish dharma, those adharmic people needs to be punished. So Arjuna was just doing the will of Krishna. Whereas Duryodhana and the other party, they were trying to, do it for their pleasure, because they want to usurp everything from the Pandavas. They want to be king of, they want to take everything from the Pandavas. And then they want to enjoy. So that was the difference. Both were actually fighting it, and they were, doing the same activity of killing. But Arjuna was doing on the instruction of Lord Krishna, and not for his own pleasure. So his action was actually action without any reaction, because he was working for Krishna. So similarly, when we see that, a soldier, when he goes for a war, he is going to a war, and in war he is actually killing people. He is going to other countries and killing people. But then that soldier is, when for that killing the enemies, he is rewarded with some medals, some gold medals or whatever, or with some money. But then the same soldier, then they come here, and if they kill their neighbor for no reason or whatever, some fight has happened, then that soldier is punished. So why is that? Because in the first place, when the soldier kills the enemy, that is under the direction of the government. He's working for somebody, he's working for the government. So for that action, there is no reaction. Right? So here, the activities which are done to please the Lord, that is actually bhakti. So activities in bhakti appears to be like ordinary activities, but they are not contaminated. An ignorant man may see that the devotee is acting or working like ordinary men, but such a person with a poor fund of knowledge does not know that the activities of the devotee or of the Lord are not contaminated by impure consciousness or matter. They are transcendental to the three modes of nature. So this is actually bhakti. When you are performing the same actions to please the Lord, then that becomes bhakti. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he is the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So here we saw these books are there, right? This is Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he is the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he explains what is different between bhakti and the normal act. So he uses a very simple language. He says Atmendriya Priti Tare Bole Kam, and then Krishnendriya Priti Dhare Prem Naam. So Atmendriya Priti means if I want to satisfy my senses or my desires, that is kama or lust. But if you want to satisfy Krishna's senses, then that is the same action, but then that is called as prema. That is bhakti actually. So bhakti is nothing but we want to satisfy the senses of the Lord. We want to serve the Lord in love. Right? So the love factor is the most important. So in order to love, then we have to know who Krishna is. So the whole Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna spoke, 700 verses, is nothing but Krishna is telling us who he is, what is his position, how compassionate he is, how loving he is. So when we hear Bhagavad Gita, when we study Bhagavad Gita, gradually, our consciousness changes. And then our consciousness transforms from, material consciousness to pure consciousness. And then we gradually start engaging in service of the Lord. Right? So that is basically bhakti. So we'll stop here and then we'll continue our discussion in the next session. So this is the presentation which discusses the same point, that consciousness and bhakti. Okay, so we'll stop here, and Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Premanande Haribol.